A tiny bird weighing less than an AAA battery is about to survive a night colder than your freezer. No fat reserves left, no shelter but a rotted out tree cavity, and somehow it wakes up tomorrow. Every single time. The black-capped chickadee looks like nothing special in your backyard. It is in fact one of the most quietly extraordinary birds in North America. Fact 1. A brain that grows and shrinks with the seasons. Every fall, this bird's brain physically changes shape. The hippocampus, the part responsible for spatial memory, expands by roughly 30%, not figuratively. Its volume actually increases, packed with new memory capacity. Scientists have also found something even more surprising. Chickadees living in colder, harsher climates, like Alaska, develop larger hippocampal volumes and more neurons than chickadees living in milder places like Colorado. The tougher the winter, the bigger the memory center needs to be. Come spring, when food is easy to find again, that extra brain tissue shrinks right back down to its normal size. The bird's brain literally runs on a seasonal budget, recalibrated year after year to match how hard survival is about to get. Fact 2. It grows brand new brain cells every year. It's not just resizing existing tissue. The chickadee's brain manufactures entirely new neurons to handle the load. This process, called neurogenesis, was first documented by Dr. Fernando Nottebohm at Rockefeller University, whose research produced some of the first evidence that adult bird brains could replace neurons throughout life. Not just once during development, the way most mammal brains work. In chickadees, this neuron production ramps up specifically in October, right when their diet shifts from insects to stored seeds. In other words, this bird doesn't just remember better in winter. Every single year, it builds new hardware to do it, then lets much of it fade away once the memory load is no longer needed. Fact 3. Every hidden seed gets its own memory. Barcode. Researchers at Columbia University's Zuckerman Institute tracked individual neurons while chickadees hid sunflower seeds and found something remarkable. Each time the bird cached a seed, a unique pattern of brain cell activity lit up, like a barcode on a product at a store. When the bird came back later to retrieve that exact seed, the same barcode fired again. This isn't a general, "there's food somewhere over there" kind of memory. It's precise. Separate research by Dr. David Sherry at the University of Toronto showed chickadees can accurately relocate individual caches even 24 hours later, and that these spatial memory maps can persist for up to 28 days. Every single hiding spot gets its own private code, and the bird can tell thousands of them apart without ever mixing them up. Fact 4. It can hide up to 1,000 seeds in a single day. During peak caching season in October and November, a single black-capped chickadee can store hundreds, and on the busiest days, up to 1,000 individual food items in one day. Over the course of a full season, that adds up to roughly 80,000 seeds, and some individuals have been documented caching more than 100,000 items in a single year. And this isn't sloppy stockpiling. Chickadees practice something called scatter hoarding. Every seed goes into its own separate location, spread across a territory that can cover up to 10 square miles. The logic is simple. If a competitor finds one hiding spot, it still has no idea where the other 99,000 are. If backyard birds like this one fascinate you, hit subscribe. Every week we bring you the birds hiding in plain sight across the United States and the science behind them. Fact 5. It gains and burns roughly a third of its body weight every single day. To survive a freezing night, the chickadee needs fuel, and a lot of it. In winter, this bird can eat more than 35% of its own body weight every single day, packing it on as fat, and by the next morning, a huge portion of that reserve is already gone, burned off just to stay warm through the night. Its diet even shifts with the seasons to support this. In spring and summer, up to 90% of what it eats is insects and spiders, but by winter, that flips to roughly half plant matter, seeds, berries, and half animal protein. Every calorie is budgeted for survival. Fact 6. Its alarm call is a coded threat report. The chickadee's famous chickadee call isn't random. Scientists recorded over 5,000 alarm calls and discovered the number of D notes actually encodes the danger level of a nearby predator. Small, agile predators, the ones most dangerous to a bird this size because they can maneuver through dense branches, trigger calls with more D notes. Larger, slower predators, which are easier to spot and avoid, get fewer. Researchers confirmed this wasn't just correlation. adaptation. When they played back-recorded calls through hidden speakers, other chickadees mounted a stronger, longer defensive response to the high-threat version of the call than to the low-threat one. The rest of the flock isn't just hearing an alarm, it's listening for the count. Fact 7. Other bird species follow its lead all winter. In winter, chickadee flocks become the nucleus of something bigger. Nuthatches, woodpeckers, kinglets, creepers, titmice, warblers, and vireos regularly join them, forming mixed species flocks of a dozen or more birds that move through the woods together on a regular circuit. And here's the remarkable part. Many of these other species respond to a chickadee's alarm call even though their own species doesn't make a similar sound. When the chickadee sounds the alarm, the whole neighborhood freezes and looks around. Virtually every mixed winter flock in North America contains chickadees at its core, wherever chickadees are found, because more eyes watching for predators means more time everyone else gets to spend actually finding food. Fact 8. There's a hidden social ladder inside every flock. Within each winter flock, chickadees maintain a strict dominance hierarchy, essentially a pecking order that determines who eats first and who yields. At backyard feeders, this shows up as remarkably orderly behavior. Chickadees will actually line up on a branch, waiting their turn, dropping down to grab a seed, one bird at a time rather than fighting over it. Some individuals are even known as winter floaters, birds that don't belong to a single flock and instead drift between different groups, holding a different rank in each flock they visit. Behind that cheerful little call is a surprisingly structured, almost bureaucratic social world. Fact 9. It can dig its own home out of solid wood. Unlike many cavity nesting birds that rely entirely on old woodpecker holes, the black-capped chickadee can excavate its own nesting cavity from scratch, chiseling it out of soft or rotted wood using nothing but its beak, often choosing dead snags or rotten branches of alder or birch. Pairs will often try out several potential spots before committing to one, testing the wood before they start digging. And when they do use a nest box, they show a strong preference for excavating their own wood shavings rather than simply moving into an empty box. Once the nest is built, a pair typically raises a single brood of 6 to 8 eggs, and the chicks fledge in under 3 weeks. A bird the size of your thumb, rebuilding its own brain every year, hiding 100,000 seeds it will actually remember, burning a third of its body weight overnight, leading an entire winter neighborhood and carving its own home out of solid wood. That's the black-capped chickadee, hiding in plain sight in backyards across the United States. Keep your eyes on the sky, every bird has a secret.